How do you deal with a setback after an interview or negativity at work? Let's talk about it. Now, in every job you might have, negativity happens all the time. Same for all kinds of setbacks, all kinds of losses, all kinds of missed opportunities. This is something that every one of us has to face. There's no job in the world where everything is fine and happy and great. So negativity happens to all of us. It's how we deal with them that counts. And in today's video, I want to talk about a couple of things you can tell yourself to stay positive and to take as much away from those losses and setbacks. Okay, now let's talk about a very common case that happened to most of us probably, which is getting turned down after an interview situation. So you can prepare for any interview out there. You can prepare thoroughly, and preparation will improve your chances of success at interviews. That's without a question. But the chances of just running into a bad interview situation, getting a couple of questions which are just not for you, having a bad day, having a bad interviewer, these are all kind of things you don't have control over, and they happen to all of us. So we need to think about how we can deal with such negative interview situations and what we can take away from them. Because in the end, you need to keep interviewing, you need to keep looking for a job that is right for you and that you enjoy doing, and interviewing is just a part of it. So this example is easy, right? Because we are constantly trying to improve with interviews, and because we actually have no other chance of just doing more interviews, you are forced to learn certain lessons from it. So the one thing that you have to keep in mind when thinking about interviews, and also in the phase after a negative interview situations are by definition very artificial, right? They never feel natural, because somebody who is maybe your future colleague is sitting in front of you and is asking you questions, but not in a way of discussion, right? He wants to probe you and examine you. So by definition, they are artificial, and they will feel artificial more so in the beginning. So when you start off interviewing, when you haven't done an interview in a long time, the first interview is gonna feel the worst. So a negative interview situation is just another way, another opportunity for practice. And this is the main thing to keep in mind. When you come back from a negative interview, when you get the call that, oh, we don't want to go forward with the application, this is your opportunity to learn more. So first of all, think of how many things you learned in that interview. I'm sure there are a couple of them. And then second of all, this is totally passive, and it just happens without anything further, without any further actions of you. You got more accustomed, more used to those interview situations. So the next interview you walk into is going to be a lot easier, just because you feel more comfortable with the situation. And you'll feel this after the first interview, without question, but you'll feel this even more so after doing 5 or 10 interviews. Because then it's gonna feel like second nature to you. And once you become familiar with such an interview situation, and once you become comfortable sitting there answering questions, this is where your true level of knowledge and your true skill level comes out. This is where you can really go deep into those questions, and you're not sidetracked by being nervous. You can really show and shine. So again, keep this in mind. Every time you get turned down by a company after doing a couple of interviews is extremely valuable practice. In one of those interviews, you learn as much as in 100 hours of sitting at your desk and practicing interview situations and interview questions. So this is your main takeaway. Keep that in the back of your head, and suddenly such a messed up interview is going to be a positive for you. Okay, so let's talk about a different setting. Let's say you are in a project, you are working with a team of engineers, and you are building something, and maybe you came up with a certain idea. This idea gets turned down. Maybe Somebody else's idea gets chosen, somebody else's architecture gets chosen. Maybe there's not even a good reason for your idea to get turned down. But things like that happen, you know. Not everything we decide is objective. Humans are, you know, again, by nature, easily influenced. Again, this is how we deal with those situations. It's about how you deal with those situations. It's easy to get into this loop of, you know, experiencing something negative and then having this self-fulfilling prophecy where you already foresee another negative instance. And by thinking about it and, you know, by anticipating more negativity, this negativity will happen to you. So we talked about this in a previous video, but I'm gonna say it again. You have to break out of this vicious circle. So if something like this happens to you, put away the bad side of things and try to find a couple of positives. Try to find some learnings, some lessons, and, you know, think of how it went down. You know, maybe think back to whenever this project started and analyze what happened, you know, not only from your perspective but also from other people's perspectives. You know, what's their background, where are they coming from, what kind of relationships were in play here, you know, what relationships decided about this outcome. So analyze what happened in the last couple of weeks or months, and all the players and all the stakeholders in this whole situation or dilemma. And by doing that, you can maybe take away some lessons. And for sure, even if your idea and your approach was objectively the better one, you will learn about tech, but in the same way you will learn about humans and how humans work, and you will be able to apply this knowledge in the future because whenever such a situation comes up again, you will have one of those occurrences in the back of your head, and you will be able to think of it and maybe, you know, act differently or anticipate certain things. One more thing. Every time such negative things happen in my job or, you know, anywhere in my personal life, every time somebody upsets me or, you know, I get mad about something and there's a person who caused this anger or who caused this, you know, frustration, I remind myself that this person has power over me because I'm upset, you know. So let's say there's somebody in your job and they're doing things which make you mad, right? In this moment, they have power over you, and I don't want to have anybody in my life or in my work or, you know, anywhere who can control my emotions and my life, because that anger, you know, you're gonna take it home with you. It's gonna impact your life, it's gonna impact your kid's life and your wife's life, and you don't want that, right? So by trying to shake this anger off and trying to shake off all the negativity which you experience in your everyday life, it will improve your own situation, it will improve the situation of your family, and it's going to be a lot healthier in the long term. Okay, now today I'm really curious about what you think. What's your opinion? How do you deal with setbacks and negativity in your life and in your work, in your job? Leave a comment below or send me a tweet on Twitter. My Twitter handle is in the comment section below as well. My name is Ramon Lopez, and this is Success in Tech.